But so yeah, those shows and all, you know, I just try to keep a good schedule of shows to watch. And
Right.
I'll be loyal to them. I'm gonna keep watching Grey's Anatomy till Dr. Bailey is gone.
I
Once
used to
she's
watch it
gone,
faithfully when it first
once
came.
she's gone, yeah. Once Bailey's gone, I'm out. I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep watching as long as she's there. That's just the faithfulness of me.
right.
And it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got a lot going on, and I think this is a great part for us to start and get started with the podcast. Welcome to another episode of Here's What I Got. Today, listen, I met this young lady, and we could talk about this. Well, no, but the first time I remember seeing you was back in 2015 on a web series called Me, You, and Him.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I guess he's a mutual friend, but my friend Roger Payano is on that one.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God. And then like right after that, we met through our friend Dave. And I was like, oh my God, I remember seeing you. And then ever since then, you have been blowing up and been all over my screen. And you were doing stuff before that, but you were just more recognizable. You know, when you don't have a Lexus, you don't see Lexuses. But once you get a Lexus, you see Lexuses everywhere. So you are the Lexus of my life, is what I'm
Oh,
saying
sure,
to you.
I'll take that. Look, let me be that Lexus. Okay.
She is an actor, a writer, a producer, and an amazing person. We've hung out many times, and it's always been a great time. Please welcome Diandra Lyle to the show. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. So thank you
No,
for having me.
when you said yes, I was like, all right, guys. No, she's busy.
Ah, shoot. I got time. We go back. We family. It's all good.
Currently, you are on the Disney show Secrets of Sulphur Springs.
Mhm.
How is that going for you? Is this the second season for the show?
Come on, do something.
The Man Out of Time.
It's about time travel?
It's about an adventurer who journeys along the timeline to prevent the world from ending.
And does he ever get, stuck?
This season on Secrets of Sulphur Springs.
My family used to own the Tremont back before it was a hotel. Hello?
Everything's going crazy inside. Don't go forward.
That place wants us out.
Welcome to the new paranormal. Who's haunting the Tremont? Watch Secrets of Sulphur Springs.
Who are you, and where did you come from?
Be part of a good show. It's a good concept. It's not predictable. It is for all kids, big and small. Big meaning adults. I have friends that don't have kids that watch the show. And so you don't get too many shows that often that come along that do that. I mean, it's not, again, it's a life-changing show, but it's interesting. It's well written, and it's engaging, so it's great to be a part of that show. And it's not your typical foo-foo Disney. That's not to knock foo-foo Disney. I don't knock that at all, because we all need a little foo-foo Disney here and there. But it is more, the live action. It's that crossover, and it does air on Disney Channel, but it's also on Disney Plus. So it kind of straddles those two worlds. And yeah, it's a good time. I mean, it's time travel and paranormal.
Okay.
I mean, that's fun.
All right. Self-promotion over. All right, here we go. So now let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about how you got into what you are doing now. I want to hear all of it, because I do not know many people from Iowa. So what I want to do is walk through how you, a young lady from Iowa, came to be in the Hollywood machine. So please tell us about your journey, like how you got interested, how you first knew you were good at acting, and just what led to it.
Okay, you taking it way back. Way back in 19. No, I'm not gonna do that to myself. So I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, born and raised. I went to the University of Iowa. I'm a proud Iowan, and yes, there are Black people in Iowa.
You are proof.
I'm only half Black, but I'm talking about we all there. Both sides are from there, so it's all good. We do have Black people. But yeah, I went to college for something completely different. My degree is in therapeutic recreation, and my minor is social work. So therapeutic recreation, because most people don't know what that is using recreation and leisure education as, well, there's different facets, but you can use that as a means of therapy. And that's kind of the avenue I took with it. And you work with any special needs population. So older adults, incarcerated people, people with disabilities, like you name it, you can work with it. And I always worked with a lot of kids in the system, children, either in foster care or children that have behavioral, psychological, emotional, disorders and at-risk youth. That was kind of my thing all through college. I moved to San Diego after college. I worked as a part of a treatment team there, and I moved back to Iowa when I had my daughter. And that was about 2002, the end of 2002, I moved back to Iowa. So had my daughter early 2003, and I was just not in a happy place. I was sitting there, and it wasn't where I wanted to be. I didn't want to be back in Iowa, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And and my last semester of classes in college, I had hours to kill, so I took an acting class. The University of Iowa has a really big writers program. It's like known internationally, and so this gentleman by the name of Lee Simon, who's an award-winning playwright out of New York, he was in the program, and he was teaching a class called Black Action Theater. Mm-hmm. So I took that because I had hours. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take this. And when we did it, he told me on a couple different occasions, he's like, you have it, you need to be doing this. And I was like, I mean, I'm an only child. I played a lot of Barbies. I got a little imagination, but I'm not thinking about, acting. So that happened. I, go on about my life, and I'm working, I'm doing all that. And now I'm back in Iowa, and I'm like, but that acting bug was sitting in the back of my head. It was just kind of chilling, and I kind of kept circling back to it. And so I went to some open call talent thing in Minneapolis, and I had agents interested in me from New York to LA. And they're like, you're in Iowa, and I had no experience. Mm-hmm. So then I decided I need to see it, and I had a garage sale. I made about $800. I was peddling, baby. Okay, wasn't no nickel and diamond. I was hustling. I made $800. I found a room on Craigslist when Craigslist was legit, and in Hollywood. And I came out to LA, I think August 2006, for a month to see it. I did background on shows like Scrubs, the very first Transformers movie, Heroes, Crossing Jordan. I did all this stuff, right? And I got headshots taken. I worked with an acting coach for about a week, but I needed to see it, And I remember being on the set of Scrubs and watching Zach Braff and Donald Faison rehearsing, and I was like, okay, I could do this, And then on another show, this second AD was like, "You having fun?" He's good. I was like, "Yeah, but I want to be in front of the camera. That's where I want to be." So after I saw it and understood what it was, that month came to an end. I moved to Northern Virginia, outside DC.
That's a long way away.
All the way across. But so my ex and I, my daughter's father, he lived there. We had been doing long distance. Okay. So now it's kind of like, okay, make it or break it. So I moved there with my daughter. Got there in September. We broke up in January, and then I moved to Chicago in April.
Okay, that's
so I moved to Chicago.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
This is all part of the story. Chicago, you getting the long extended murder case. Moved to Chicago, started working as a rec therapist in a psych hospital, right? So I was working with children through adults, loved it. There's never a dull moment. I really enjoyed my job. And while I was there, somebody told me about Second City, and I had never heard of that before. So then Second City, Chicago is the original. It's like the Grand Poobah, right? You had everybody coming out of there, like Dan Aykroyd and everybody. So I went and trained in improv there for a year. And then my job laid me off because of the recession. So at that point, I was like, you know what? When one door closes, another one opens. And that's when I decided to try acting at the age of 30. And I was a single parent in a city with no family. And I'm like, this little girl from the Midwest. I'm like, oh, I can go be an actor. And I took that wild chance. And I was in Chicago a total of 5 years and did independent films and commercials. And I, auditioned for things. And then I finally moved to LA in 2012. Where I was a stand-in for 2 years for Kevin Hart and everybody on Real Husbands of Hollywood. Okay. And then finally, things started rolling, and I got my representation and started getting on-camera work. Yeah, so that's the story. I know it's kind of like a little...
No, it's all over the place, and that's fine. So a couple of things I wanted to get. Yeah. All right, so you took an acting class in Iowa. And you said it's a writing class. It was they're known for their writing program.
At the University of Iowa. It was called Black Action Theater. It was an acting class. Yeah.
Going back a little bit more. So how was it? Did you go to Des Moines High? Like what was like young life like there? And then you being mixed, was it a great experience? Like, did you have the best of both worlds? Like, what was the experience like there?
I mean, I had a great childhood,
Because that's all you knew. That's what it was, right?
that's all I knew. Just like I'm an only child, so that's all I know. People, they have siblings. Like, I don't know, I feel bad for y'all. I'm like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's cool. There's pros and cons of everything, but yeah, I mean, my parents divorced when I was younger, so it was me and my white mother in Des Moines, Iowa, which is a city. It's honestly, my high school in Des Moines is more racially diverse than my daughter's school was here in
I was just being funny because Iowa.
No, but you got to, because people need to hear this because people don't know. So but yeah, I mean, I honestly, I had a great childhood. I didn't have issues with anything. I had family all over, New York. I had family. I had one uncle out there, I had an uncle out west in California. My grandparents are Arkansas, so we would travel a lot, and I was exposed to a lot of different things. So that really, I guess, helped me become more of a well-rounded person, especially culturally. So yeah, I do feel, and both sides of my family get along, and I didn't have any like identity issues and things that you hear about. Yeah. I mean, there might be some little things here and there, but yeah, I mean, I had a great experience. I'm proud of Des Moines. We call it DMI. We're from the DMI, Des Moines, Iowa, and we're very proud people.
Okay.
So.
So you also talked about being a therapist. So now go with me here.
Okay.
You started working with adults, young people. So a lot of these therapists, social workers, when they work with the community, when they work with people, it's and I'm not saying this in a way that's like that, but it is kind of like you have to be on, you have to kind of perform in order to reach them, to get to them. Did that help you when you transitioned into acting, because you always had to be ready for anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think I'm a people person. I really enjoy people. I love meeting people. I always have. I love engaging with people. I'm big on energy. So that was already a constant for me, to carry over from that world to the world of acting. And just being your authentic self, so like when I worked in that field, there's so many people, and not everybody, but one, it's easy to get burnt out. It's a lot if you take in all these things that everybody else are, they're going through, and then you have your own stuff. It can be a lot. It can wear you down. A lot of people get burnt out, and they can't stay there. But I genuinely enjoyed helping people, being there. I was always just me, because I think the biggest thing is just being you. And a lot of people can see through when people put on a mask or this facade, and they're trying to be something they're not, or fake or whatever. Right. So they would see the people that were truly genuine and that cared. So especially with my kids, I remember this one particular moment with my teen girls. We were talking about, because a lot of them didn't respect the staff. Staff were attacked, people, and the staff were not always nice to the kids. But this one girl said to me, she's like, "We know you care, Ms. D. We know you care." And I could challenge them, and they get a little loud with me. I let them know right back that I came from a caring space, and it was a respect. So I'm very big on that. The same thing in this business that I'm in now. You hear a lot of horror stories. You'll hear things about people not being so nice and on set and this and that. Honestly, I've never had a bad experience. Okay. Even with people I've heard stories about, because everybody's interactions are different. So I'm not going to come in and judge you off of that. I'm like, oh, I haven't met you yet, but I'm also not going to warrant that kind of behavior. I'm going to treat you with respect, and just be a genuine person. So I don't know. I think that those things lend itself, and definitely in that field that I worked in, and with, that population, you had to be ready for anything. Like you said, anything. Okay. Like all of a sudden somebody's smiling and then they snap and you're like, whoop, I didn't see that coming, so that does, I guess, transfer really well to my job, because things can change last second. They can give you, a different direction, and you have to make that change right then. They can change the lines, and all of a sudden here's a whole new, scene, and you have to be ready to go with it. And then feel what's going on around you with your scene partners, with your creative people. And yeah, so there's a lot of parallels with that. So I guess it did prepare me quite a bit. And I always joke and I say I had a lot of great character study.
Exactly, yeah.
So that helps, It helps me understand the psychology, because I understand the psychology of a lot of people just naturally.
Right.
That does help me as an actor when it comes to understanding like the character or the role or what's going on. So.
So before you dove in head first, and that's a beautiful transition because you did improv, you did Second City, and that's another place where you have to be ready for anything, have to be ready to change at the spur of the moment. So I know what you said, you did it in Chicago, but what drove you to want to dive into that?
You know what? And like I said, I had never heard of it. And a coworker of mine at the hospital told me, but you need to do, Second City. And because I'm goofy by nature, I'm kind of my daughter probably don't think I'm funny. I think I'm funny. Or, other people think I'm funny. But I was probably goofing at work. And so somebody told me about it. And, doing that really opens you up. And honestly, I still have a little level of intimidation when it comes to improv because it's no joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you almost have to because the rules of improv are like, yes, and like it's never, it's always yes, no, don't say no and just go, don't think, just go.
Right.
And it's really hard sometimes to separate your brain from that because your brain wants to I want to make a good choice. I want to make something funny. I want to do, instead of just going with it.
Mhm.
But it made me such a better actor because it frees you and it allows you, like I said, not to be stuck or just, some people may come in, I have a plan, this is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to stick to it. And all of a sudden somebody throws something different in it and they can't, they freak out. So with improv, you just have to go, so it freed me so much. It made me much better with my auditions, with jumping into characters that much quicker, and I think everybody can benefit from that. And they use improv in a lot of different spaces for icebreakers, in the business world. Anybody really can benefit from it and just social interaction.
Yeah.
A
Mhm.
lot of people got some awkward things going on,
A lot of people.
They after being locked up for a couple years,
Oh,
pandemic.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's how that happened. And but I respect everybody that does improv because it's no joke.
One of my favorite groups when I lived in LA, religiously, I was always at the black version. They did stuff at Groundlings Theater.
Oh yeah.
First Monday of the month or whatever. And you talk about respect for them. They would make up movies from scratch.
Wow.
On black people, that's what they call it, the black version of the movies.
Right.
And to see them create every month, I was like, man, this is not easy. And the fact that they, were just able to do it like that, I just had an ultimate respect.
Some people listen. There's a group. I'm gonna shout out a group in Chicago named Pimprov, and I don't even know if they're still going. But it was I think 4 guys. I don't know if they had a few more than that, but they were great. They were pimps. It was like their roles were pimps, but they would do skits. Like whatever anybody threw at them, and it's great. It's wonderful. Yeah, there's so much you can do with that.
My name is Pimpin' Poochie, aka the King Sling of Ding-a-ling, grand finale. Because after me, ain't nobody else.
I was given the name Hollis, but I always said that sound too much like a sissy. So I call myself Hollis.
Daddy Jenkins, aka Broadway Joe. Because if a trick don't have my money, well, tap dance on that.
All right, so you're out in LA now. So you're 2012 you came out for good, right?
Yep.
Your first on camera role, speaking role. Do you remember that?
Ever or when I got to LA?
When you got to LA. So wait, whoa. Where were we when you had your first? What's going on now? Yeah, come on now. You left that part out. Where were you?
Well, what had happened was no, I got my first TV credit. So if we're gonna talk official stuff, I mean, not to say indie stuff is not official.
No, right.
But if we talking about my very first TV credit was in 2010. I did a co-star role on the ABC series Detroit 187.
Oh.
It was only on for a season. But yeah, I did that when I lived in Chicago. So I booked that. I was a casino cocktail waitress named Mandy.
Okay.
I had to wear heels and a very short skirt, and I had to have a tray with drinks on it that were not stuck down, and then I had to slap one of the characters. When I tell you, baby, I don't have serving experience, and then I'm in heels and I got to pretend slap somebody. It was a thing. But yeah, that was my very first experience. And then when I got to LA, my first television work was, I'm gonna say it was in 2014 maybe, and it was a co-star on Undateable, which is a comedy. We shot over at Warner Brothers. I can't remember what network it was on. So I did that, and then yeah, those were my first. in those.
What was your line on 187? Do you remember? That?
I had a few lines. One of the main characters, he was one of the detectives. I guess we had a history together or something. I yelled his name, and he's like, "Oh, Mandy," because they're investigating something, and basically he didn't call me. He didn't call me back, and he's trying to save face, and I slap him, and I have to go find the clip or something. And I can take lines were.
Undateable, and then what came after Undateable?
After Undateable, I got my first guest star that I ever had was October 2014. And I did an episode of The Have and the Have-Nots. Mr. Tyler Perry gave me my first guest star.
Frida Maxwell? Maybe. It's Quincy Maxwell. Why? Quincy, that's my brother. He ain't him. Where is he? He in jail. Were you the caregiver for Quincy Dalen Young? Who? Don't pay me. His son? Yes. I don't know where that boy at. Did you take care of him? No, his grandma did. I don't know where he at. He's in county hospital with child welfare. Oh. Well, okay. Was he ever in your care? No. Can we come in? No, you can't. We need to ask you some questions about his care. Look, I don't know nothing. That's not my child, so you need to talk to his mama or his uncle. That's where he been living. Where? His Uncle Benny Young at his grandmama's house. And if anything happened to him, they did it. That's where I thought he was anyway. Can you call this lady? She's with child welfare. She has some questions. Well, I can't answer. Well, if you can get in touch with Quincy, we need to talk. Where are you calling? In jail?
Appearance. I was a police officer. And so I went down to Atlanta and shot that. And then I think within that year, I probably got a few more guest stars on some other, major networks and different shows. So,
I'm biting my tongue because I don't want to ask you if you had to wear a wig in that role. I don't want to.
I didn't have to wear a wig.
Okay.
No.
It's your beautiful hair.
It was slick back. It was just you didn't want to ponytail.
See?
Yeah.
Hello, Tyler. How are you? So, no disrespect. No disrespect.
Right.
All right, so now you've been in Hollywood for a while. You got the role on Secret of Sulphur Springs, but you've been in the machine for a while. So what do you love about it, and what could be better?
Where do I start? No, let's see. What do I love about it? I mean, I love the fact that there's so many things you can do. I'm a very, put it like this. There's people in this world, and especially in this business, that will tell you, find your niche and stick to it. So if you're good at comedy, do that, right? If you're good at drama, do that. But find your place that you're really good and just focus on that. And then after you really get that and, master it, then you can go do other things. I'm a little different because I kind of feel like, well, why can't I do that and that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, well, I can do some comedy and I can do drama and I can do and I can play different kind of characters. So I don't want to be typecast. And so I like that there's variety. I've been really fortunate that I've had a variety of roles. I've gone in and been kind of the wild card and be the only person of color going in for this role that doesn't really seem like it's written for a person of color. I can tell by the name and stuff, but I end up booking it, so I've been really fortunate to be able to kind of open up those spaces and walk in those spaces and kind of go against the grain in a sense to show that, no, it doesn't have to be limiting. And it's possible, so I do think that I enjoyed that. Amongst other things, you get to create and build with a lot of people, but what could be better? It's tough. There's been a big push for diversity, in these past years, and you'll hear a lot of people like, oh, it's diversity. And yes, we're seeing a lot more diversity, but there's still so much further we need to go. I feel like as a person of color in this business, sometimes, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to word this, sometimes it still feels often like it's the people that are getting in and working are kind of the same people. And it's almost like, even though you're like, yeah, we're doing diversity, but it's almost like you have to be a certain level to get into that, right? As opposed to seems like, because it's just my opinion, if you're a white person in this business, you could just be anybody and you get in, and you don't, you may not even have a credit, and they'll break you out. Whereas it's like, I got to have a whole list, and this is not always true. I think it happens quite a bit. So even though people say, oh, they're only looking for people of color, you got the advantage now, you got this and that, you're like, there's still some, stipulations there. It ain't like I can just go get everything, right? So I do wish that it was better in that sense of being more open. And I think it is getting more open. But just continuing to be open. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you one other thing now that I'm thinking about it. That I would like to see change is, as I continue to grow in this craft and learn, the curtain gets pulled back a little further and a little further each time you go up that stairs, and you're like, oh, this is what it is. I hate that, you have certain agencies that are the major, you give like the big three, right? And it's like, if you're not with a certain big agent, you a lot of times can't even get considered for projects. Like, they're not even looking at anybody outside of this. And you're like, wait, hold on, what? So I don't like that thing. It doesn't mean that it can't happen for you, because if it's for you, it's for you. I do believe that. Right. But I just noticed how, certain auditions won't even be coming to anybody outside of a certain age. Like, but I'm over here. Like, I'd like to go in for this. I could be considered for this. So I feel like you could cast such a wider net, and that would definitely open up the new faces, the talent, the pool, and regardless of race or whatever, but it would just create a whole nother dynamic. So I wish that was different. It's the politics and the politics of the business. And it's still so much that I don't understand, that I'm still learning. But that definitely I wish was better. I just don't like how it's stacked sometimes or how it seems to be stacked, but what can you do?
You said something earlier, which was really intriguing. Like, you're saying that a lot of people get pigeonholed, like, do comedy, do drama. If you could do that and master it, then you can do something else. You're saying, why can't I? Is there a role that you have not done or would not do, or a genre that you have not done or would not do?
Well, something that I would like to do is, I like the fantasy and a sci-fi world. So like, you and I are talking off to the side, like, I like Witcher and I like things like that. And I was like, oh, that would be fun to play in those worlds, so something, I'm always drawn to that. I used to like Willow, that movie back in the day. I don't know if you remember Willow, it was my jam. I just brought it and made my fiance watch it the other day. He had never seen it. So I always like stuff like that. So I think it would be really fun to play in those worlds. And I haven't done that yet. But that's something, and is there anything I would not do? That's just really a case-by-case basis. It really depends on what it is. I'm very big on, I want to connect with whatever role or, project that I'm doing.
The reason I asked is because you were in her film, so I think my friend Yvette, our friend.
Oh yeah,
like, she won't curse. She won't. There's certain things that roles that come to her, and she'd be like, "Nah, I don't think I would do that." So that's what I'm saying. Is there something that can come to you and you'd be like, "Nah, I'm not doing that"?
Yeah, it just depends. Like right now, for me, nudity is not really like on the top of my list, probably because I'm like, I don't know how I'm feeling up in here. But I view nudity. I'm not against it, because I feel like this is our artistic instrument, and it's used to tell a story. So if it's not gratuitous, if it serves a purpose, if I trust the director's vision, I will be open to it.
Okay.
But I'm not going to do anything that's going to, embarrass my family, myself. And honestly, I don't have a problem saying no to certain things, because I don't have to explain to anybody why I choose to do something or why I don't. Like, I just don't want to do it. I'm not comfortable with it. And at one point I could be comfortable with something, and then that can change, right? And it can go back and forth. But yeah, it just really depends on the project. It depends on like for instance, there's like, people have their opinions on like slave pieces. Some people are like, why we gotta see the, and like, okay, I get that. And then, but there are some stories that could come out. I don't know if I'm like running to go do that, because there's a lot of stories that already been told.
Well, you're gonna be running. You're definitely gonna be running if you do slave.
Right, exactly. Literally and figuratively. But yeah, It would really depend on what it was. It would really depend on what it was. Yeah.
Another thing you were talking about, do you have an acting mentor?
Not specifically at this point. I have had some over the years, at different points in my life that I consider mentors. Early in the game, when I was in Chicago, I had some people that were guiding me. You know, when I first came to LA, I had people that are guiding me, that, you know, are my teachers. I mean, they helped me to get where I am today, you know, those differences. But I don't have a particular person like that I'm always, you know, consulting with or going to, or, you know, discussing the business and stuff right now at this point in time. Maybe I need to get one.
When you came out for that month, and you were on a set of Scrubs, was there a sort of culture shock coming from Des Moines to Hollywood?
It wasn't, because I'm from a city, even though it's not a big city. It's a metropolitan area.
But Hollywood's a different animal than
it is a different animal. But see, I've been so many places all growing up. My dad lived in San Diego for a long time because he was in the Navy. So I would go visit San Diego. I had an uncle that lived in Orange County, and I would go visit like when I was, you know, growing up. I went to New York as a kid, like all grown up, seeing my uncle out there. So I was in big cities, and it wasn't, so for me, it was nothing. You know, I was like, nothing. I've been at, you know, lived outside DC, and, you know, I just roll with it, baby. Like whatever it is. And then that's what's funny, because I get a lot of people and they try to figure out where I'm from. Because, you know, you pick up people's energy and they're like, you ain't from here. You from somewhere back east, but I don't even know. I kind of blend. I kind of like I'm in this ambiguous, like, where are you from? You just got all these different, you know, and I lived in Chicago for 5 years before here, you know, and Chicago, I consider my second home. And I just am able to flow wherever I'm at. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna make it what it is. But I'm always gonna be me. At the end of the day, I'm a Midwestern girl. I got my Midwestern. I'm polite. I'm nice. I ain't no punk.
Right.
But you know, I got Midwestern nice always. I talk to people, strangers, and say please and thank you and excuse me. And I get a little irritated when people don't want to use their manners.
Amazing energy. Amazing energy. From the first day we met, you had amazing energy. And Rob is. It's not your opposite. I've never seen Rob like turn up and get wild. Like it seems like y'all have a perfect balance, you know, to the yin and yang of your relationship. Am I right, or did I just miss him? Like,
no, okay, because he can talk, and I'm a talker, but he can get in his whole talkative moods. Don't let him fool you now. And he's weird. I'm weird. You know, he's weird. I think that is required to be one of, you know, in my life. You got to be able to talk. And I don't know if any Disney people are watching this, but I do cuss a little bit. You got to be able to talk shit.
Okay.
I'm a shit talker. You be quick wit, you know, and I need that. But no, we're obviously different personalities, but he can have his moments, put it like that. But I'm a free spirit.
Yeah.
You know, I love people. I love energy. I'm that person that goes through the drive-through and I'm talking with the person like, yeah, how you doing? Oh, I like your hair. You know what I mean? It's all genuine. Like, I'm not going to do it just to gas you up. But I can see a stranger on the street and they look really nice. I'm like, you're really nice today. That's a great color on you. Like, you know, I just have, it is one of my gifts to be able to connect with people. I realize that as I've gotten older, that's just one of my things. I feel people's energies. I can feel who they are at their core without even knowing them for most people. And I see Robert now starting to pick up on that. He's seeing how energy is, and he's like, yo, I feel it now, and I sense it. I'm like,
yeah,
there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
See, I'm a self-proclaimed introvert. I don't need to be around people, and when I do, I need to recharge after I'm done. But
absolutely.
But saying that, when I'm out, I can talk. Like I love being around people and getting to know people, like at restaurants. Like if I had one young lady who was like, you can't be an introvert because you talk nice to the waiters. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on, wait. There are servers. What do you mean? Like, you're supposed to be nice to people.
Right.
You know, I'll ask them how they're doing. Like, you know, like, what do you recommend? Like, so I'm just being cordial. But for people to think that introverts are just like, you don't do anything. So I get what you're saying, and I get people's energy, and I like to you know, exchange with people. I just when I'm
the same way as you. We're like what is it, introverted extroverts? It's like there's something, right? So I'm the same way. I enjoy people. It's like going to the beach. So I live in the valley. I'm not a beach baby because I grew up in the Midwest, so I'm good. Like I don't need the beach. But it's a long drive. But when I get there, I'm like, oh, I enjoy it. It's cool. It's cool when I'm there.
Yeah.
But I just don't, when I'm home, I'm like, I don't really feel like going. It's the same thing. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't really feel like going out right now or being social. But when I'm out, I'm like, yo, what's up? So and I do have, I like my alone time. I'm an only child.
Yeah.
I need my alone time. If I don't get it, if there's like too many people around and I don't have time to just sit and do nothing, I get a little like and Robert knows that about me. He's a middle child. He's used to having siblings and people and noise going on around. I'm more like, I need to not have anybody home right now. I need to just do me, even if I'm just sitting here doing nothing. I'm a very happy person when I do it. So I get what you're saying.
It is. All right. Enough about us. All right, so let's talk about this. Your favorite audition and the audition that you wish went better. And it doesn't have to be an audition that you got the role, but just something that you enjoyed and something that you were like, I could have. Yeah.
Well, it comes with the ahas. There's a few of those where you're like, I could have done this, I could have done that, But you can't beat yourself up over that because you're human. So just like one day you can wake up and be in a great mood and have everything's going fine. The next day, everything could be whack. It could be Mercury in retrograde, like what's happening right now. And all those things are affecting you and it can affect your performance, but you're human. So it is what it is. You're not going to win them all. So I can't necessarily, I can't really pinpoint an audition that I was like, because probably when I was early in my career, because you get a little more like, you're trying to book, you're like, I want to get the job and I want, you got to prove something. And then you get to the point where you go, I'm not in that control of hardly anything in this process. Like all I can do is go do the work, make my choice. And if they like it and it works, then it's fine. Outside of that, so I don't really stress about it as much anymore. Sometimes I'll forget. I'll have an audition. I'm like, oh, what was that for? Like my book, you're like, what? Oh, because you can't dwell on it because no one gets your hope up about it because it's like, whatever. But as for like a favorite audition, I'm gonna give you two little answers to that. There is one that I did a year ago, and it was for a period piece. I mean, like 50s, 60s, no 60s. I don't know. But it was a real person. And those are always tricky, right? Because me, I'm like, okay, one, can I look like this person? And two, respecting it, it's a real person. So, you have to. So this audition is for a limited series it's actually out, I think now, or just aired. I won't say what it is. The character is actually one that I could pull off the look, the likeness. And I couldn't find any videos on this person, but I could find pictures. So I didn't know how she talked. I didn't know how, whatever. So that was up to me to kind of figure out. I was really, really proud of this audition because I really felt like it was authentic. Mm-hmm. It was like, sometimes you just have that glow. It's like, Bruce Leroy, when you got that glow, okay? And there's certain times when it hits, and I had my glow, okay? But I had my glow.
Oh, no.
Really proud of that audition. Like the work and doing the character and in channeling that time, you know what I'm saying? Like I felt really, really proud. It's still one of my strongest auditions, I believe. I end up hearing that and I'm like, I know that could have been something like, but I use it as an encouragement for myself because I was like, okay, I did the work, I did that. And I'm saying it objectively. I know when I'm on and I know when there's times I'm like, so that was just one that I really felt good about it because I went there. The other audition that is probably one of my biggest victories that I didn't book was some years ago. I had an audition for a lead role opposite Denzel in Roman J. Israel.
Okay.
And this audition came through. I was shooting Code Black at the time. And this audition came through. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a huge audition. Like these don't even come through hardly at all. And this is like years ago. So I'm not a name, to this business, and especially then. So I was like, oh my gosh. And so I go in and I do the audition, and the casting director, I love her and she loves me. So it's great, to have that rapport. And I did the audition and I left there and I felt really good about it. But I said, you know what, regardless of what happens, this was a huge win to even get in for that because she's not going to just bring anybody in.
Right.
So, and also when I went to go sign in for the audition, I'm seeing all these name actresses, that have had major films, that have major, and I'm like, oh, I'm in here with these chicks. I'm like, oh, okay. And so in that moment, I'm going to tell you what went through my head. I said, even though I knew it, it affirmed for me. I said, just because your name doesn't mean you're better than, it means that you got a chance because everybody was nobody before they were somebody.
Right.
And I believe that, right? Yep. So went in the audition, felt good, cool. If I didn't get called back, it's cool. I'm just happy to be here. Ended up getting a director session. which is like the next step. So the director is Dan Gilroy, who did Nightcrawler? Is that the name of it?
Nightcrawler. Yeah.
Nightcrawler. And then Todd Black, Uber producer, produced Fences and all that stuff, right? So I'm having a director session. It's basically like you're kind of at the finals because you're like, when you're there, and I'm like, what? And then I had a conflict because I was shooting on one side of town, and then the auditions on the other side of town, and they're conflicting. I'm like, I can't miss this. But Dan Gilroy, Todd Black, and then the casting director came in a half hour early for me.
Oh.
Yeah. So I go over there, I get in there, the nicest people in the world. Dan's like, thank you for being here. We loved your work. We don't even have any like notes. We just want to see what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, thank you for having me. I'm like, I think I said it just like that. I'm happy to be here. And, we did the auditions. It felt really good. And I left there. And again, I said, you know what, whatever happens, I showed him I can take notes. I gave him my rendition and, hey, it is what it is, and then the role ended up going to a very seasoned actress that's very good and, a name actress and can probably portray a little older than me. And I was kind of in that weird space of like, I was really that age, but it's kind of hard to sell it.
Yeah.
And the casting called and they said, we love Diandra, we're just not on this one, like, whatever. And the next time I saw that casting director, I thanked her for that opportunity because I said, that was one of my biggest victories to be able to come in for that, to get to that point of even having a director session, this journey is so hard. And she said, oh, they went older for that role. And she's like, yeah, those don't come along very often. I said, no. And so that's one of my biggest moments in my career this far. I wish I was going in for some more movies. I don't know why I don't be going in for more movies. I'm like, look here,
see,
we need to call them up, but it's just those little things along the way, it's hard because you're gonna, I don't know. I don't look at it as rejection because it's all part of your journey.
All part of the process, all part of the journey.
All part of the process, yeah. But I always use that. That's a motivation for me, because it can happen. Almost anything is possible. That's a quote I live by. It's never too late to be what you might have been. And almost anything is possible. I was that girl that said, I can go do that. And here I am, I'm doing it, so hopefully I'll get my major movie pretty soon. I'm waiting. Anybody
ultimate role. Ultimate role. What role is like, this is what I really want to do. A lot of people come to Hollywood, they're like, all right, well, I'll take what they give me, but this is what I want to do.
What's crazy is I don't really have one.
No.
I don't have an ultimate because I just like variety. I like the challenge of different things. I think it would be fun to be a villain, probably at one time. That's kind of coming to me lately. I'm like, oh my.
The CW villains?
Whatever, I don't know, but I just villainess, I don't know. But I like, because I like action. I like strong female role, characters. Because I'm a strong female. I like seeing women doing things that they don't think women do. So I love that. But I don't have a specific role. It just, I love variety. I do. Because there's people in this business that are on shows for a gazillion seasons. And it's so amazing to think that you have a steady job, you've got this character, you know what I mean, to build that. There's so many amazing things but I also think on the flip side, as an artist, sometimes that can get maybe a little stifling because you're like, I want to do something else. I need some flavor, variety.
Yeah.
To keep that kind of, or else you just become complacent, and I can't.
You think that's why? You think that's why a lot of people leave the roles that they've been on for years? Like they don't.
I would guess so. Yeah. I would think. I think somebody just recently left something, a show after 3 seasons, and he's been in the game a long time. Like he's been on other shows, and it said something about like just creatively I want to do something, and yeah, it probably is what it is. You just need variety. And I guess not everybody does. I like variety. Okay. So I like the different challenges. Right. Yeah. Okay. I also like to work. So, even if I got a job that went for 20 seasons, I might have to just stay there.
Yeah, well, Secret Self Experience is going to be on for 20 seasons. 20 seasons.
Oh, there you go. Speak it. Yeah.
I will admit that I did watch a few episodes of the show. We were going to be speaking, and I will continue watching. I did not know what to expect when I went in it, but I do have Disney Plus, so I've been watching it on there. All right, so let me just give you up a little bit. All right, so what I like to do before I get my friends out of here is I have this thing at the end of the show where it's called "Here's What I Got." So I ask you 3 questions, you answer them as the best you can, and here's what I got, and then you tell me what you got. All right, so here's what I got.
Okay.
Your first question: what would you tell people to go when they were visiting Des Moines?
Tasty tacos.
Okay.
The best tacos you will ever eat. And it's in Iowa. I know. I don't know what it is. Listen, Jason Momoa, he's from like Iowa, technically, like Indianola, which is not right outside Des Moines. He goes to Tasty Tacos.
Okay.
We understand what it is.
All right.
It will change your life.
Okay.
Tasty Tacos.
All right. I'll write that down. I have never been to Iowa. I really have to.
And go to the Iowa State Fair. That's a good time. It's one of the biggest fairs ever.
Do they usually have that in the fall, or is that the
In
spring?
August. Yeah, I got family that work there because I got family on the farms and stuff, and they do all the agricultural stuff. I got you. I got the inside scoop.
Tasty Tacos and the Iowa State Fair.
Yep.
Here's what I got. What would you tell people who were, being an actor is too easy. What would you tell people who were trying to have a work-life balance? What would you tell them?
The balance is crucial. In life, we work and we have leisure time. That's what I used to work in. It was therapeutic recreation. And that's what we talked about. Leisure time is just as important as your business, your work time. If you don't have that balance, I don't care if it's just taking reading a book, having quiet time to yourself, this and that. You have to be able to decompress and take time for yourself. So that is huge. Me personally, I'm very big on, like, I have a child, and when she had sports, or when she did in high school, volleyball and track, I don't want to miss that if I don't have to, because I can't get that back. Right. So I have no problem telling my reps, hey, on these days, I would prefer not to have anything after 3:00, unless we can't change it. I want to go to her, stuff. So you have to draw those boundaries. And so many people don't, because they just, okay, I'll do the work. And this business will take you and take your life if you allow it to. So balance is crucial, because you will miss out on yourself and you miss out around all the things around you, and you can't get that back.
Okay. Now, we talked about diversity earlier. So my last question is this. Here's what I got. What would your message be for Black actors in Hollywood?
What would my message be for Black actors? I guess I would sit around don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. If don't allow the smoke and mirrors, or what people tell you it is, or what you can do, or what you can do, or what you can or you can't do. Don't allow that to affect your journey. That whole why can't I thing, that's my stubbornness. I'm an Aries, I'm we got our little horns, I'm a ram. I'm like, and then I'm like I got a little masculine side. I got my little tomboy side. I'm like, why can't I? People, how can you? Well, why can't I? Almost anything is possible. So don't limit yourself. Think outside of the box and create things that you want to do. Yes, there are typical roles and things that may come to us more just because we're people of color, but you don't have to just play on that playground. If there's something else that's not coming to you, create it, make it happen, make them see you like that. And don't be afraid to push for that. And I just want to say this. Listen, when it comes to representation, it's a mutually beneficial situation. They're not just doing you a favor. You need somebody, it's an equal partnership. You work for them, they work for you. So just remember that if there's somewhere you want to go, if you want certain things, speak up about it, because closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I got.
And that's it. So that's it. No, listen, I very much appreciate it. I know you got to run, you got to go somewhere, but I very much appreciate you being on with me today. I thank you so much. I'm going to continue watching the show. I'm going to look for what's next. I always remember when you were on something, I would screenshot, here's my friend. He's on stuff. I love being surprised to see where you're going to wind up next. And I love seeing your work, and I love you even more as a person. So I want you to know that. Continue to not limit yourself, continue to be the best you can be. And I will hopefully get back to LA soon. We can see each other in person if everything calms down, and we can hang out again. Please tell Rob I said hey. And shout out to our mutual friend Dave.
What up, Dave?
And shout out to Yvette. I saw you was in, like I said, we didn't cover it a lot, but you were in Always Bridesmaid. I love seeing you in there too.
What up, Yvette? Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. It's good to catch up with you. And I'm around. I ain't got nothing but time right now. I'm just waiting for the next job. So you want to talk some more another time? Let me know.
Definitely. Thank you so much. You take care of yourself.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.